I'm pleased to introduce you to our group's founder or co-founder and our president, Frank Kovacs. Good morning, Frank.
Good day. So, as we have a lot of repeat members today at the presentation, for my section of intro, I just wanted to take it to share something that I had uncovered in the last month. There's a great book on the New York bestsellers list called Limitless, Limitless, by a gentleman named Jim Quick, Awik. And Jim, as a young child, had a severe TBI, a traumatic brain injury, and his teachers had classified him as the boy with the broken brain. And through his life, he met a lot of challenges, learning and all. And he's actually taken his life 180 degrees the other way, where he's teaching the top companies, the top entrepreneurs, how to learn, how to remember better, speed reading, all of these things that are really critical right now due to the pace of change and the rate of change. So one of the things I would highly recommend, as all of us are trying to keep up with the volume of change that we're facing in our jobs and also just in life, is go out to YouTube and watch some of Jim's materials out there. And I think, there's a lot of great things that he's doing in helping people learn better. And I think it'll be, very helpful to you. As George Pace always, brings out a lot of information, and people say, well, I have a full-time job, I have a busy life. How am I supposed to keep up with all this data? This is one of the ways that will help you. I'm picking up some very good tidbits from him. So that's my thought for the day, to help everybody try and, keep pace with what we're facing in the world today. And I'm sure, Alex will come up with some great tips during his talk today of things to help you, especially specific to job search and interviewing. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jerry Payton.
Thank you, Frank. Good morning, everyone. We have a great speaker for you, presenter that most of you probably know already. I'll do the introduction right now. Known as the landing expert, Freund helps his clients improve their interview performance by removing their fear so they can feel confident during the process. For the last 16 years, Alex has helped more than 1,300 clients, ranging from managers to CEOs in a variety of industries. Alex is volunteering and active in several job search networking groups where he is an occasional presenter. He teaches via workshops on interviewing, resumes, LinkedIn, value proposition, personal branding, and personal marketing. I'd like to now introduce Alex.
So much. It's a pleasure. It's a privilege, and I always enjoy coming here and speaking to this group. I feel I'm a part of a family. I'm a part of this group, and yeah. So anyhow, I've done well over 500 presentations in the last 17 years, and to be blunt about it, I'm a little bored listening to myself talking about the same topics that everybody else is talking about, like resumes and LinkedIn and networking and all this. So when I create a new topic, I want to do something that's a little bit different. And I always encourage that presentation to have a little bit of entertainment. People learn better, and it's more effective if it's not just a boring presentation like most of you remember going to college. I'm sure you had professors that were very lively and entertaining, and you loved that topic and you wanted to go do that class. Yet we all had professors that were just very boring, and we did not like that class. So I don't want to be the professor that is boring. I want to come up with some topics that perhaps you keep thinking about it after my presentation. So I specialize in the career coaching field in the very narrow segment of being an interview coach. So I focused on something that I read, and here is how I titled it. Can you influence the interviewer? Here are 6 ways you can. Again, if you ask yourself, what is it that you need to do in an interview? Do you need to threaten, cajole? What do you need to do in an interview? And in summary, there is one word. You need to influence the interviewer to consider you as a number 1 choice. So these are the topics I'm going to talk about today. So I selected 6 topics that we will be talking about. Reasoning, which, by the way, I read somewhere that we use reasoning as a tool to influence others. 80% of that. 80% of the influencers we influence people by logic, by reasoning. Then there is something called reciprocity, herd behavior, attraction and familiarity, authority and scarcity. So these are the 6 topics I'm going to review today. So let's start with the one. What is a format about my presentation? So I will give you a story or 2 on a specific one of the 6 influencers, and then I will always follow up with some tips. In other words, how does that story relate to job seekers? People that are on these calls, at least several of them, are job seekers. So let's start with the first one. So we are talking right now about the topic of reasoning. And here is a very interesting story. What I'm saying about this is when we ask someone to do us a favor, it is more effective if we provide the reason why we are asking that favor. So it was an experiment in psychology. If you guys remember way back, we worked in buildings and there was a Xerox room. Do you remember that? This is where people lined up making copies. So here is an experiment this group in psychology ran. So they hired several actors, and let's say the lady that you see in the picture, she is an actor, and she was on one of the floors in one of those high rises in an office building, and people were standing in line. That administrative assistants stood in line to make their copies for the boss. So here comes this lady, and she jumps in front of the line. She puts one piece of paper on the Xerox machine, pushes a button, and she said, "Oh, I'm in a hurry." Everybody in the room was angry at her. Who is she? Who is this? Why can't she wait? Why can't she wait in line like everybody else? So she made her copy, she left, and everybody was talking very negatively about this lady and her attitude. They don't know her. Of course they don't know her. She's just a hired actress. Okay, so they did the same thing on a different floor, in a different Xerox room. Same scenario. So this lady walks in, looks at the people waiting in line, and she said, "Excuse me, my boss is looking for this in an urgency. Can I please make one copy only?" And everybody said yes. She puts on the piece of paper, pushes a button, and she walks out. Nobody said anything bad about her. So what can we learn here? When answering interview questions, provide the reason for your action, followed by a success story for validation. Again, this lady in the Xerox room, when she said, "I need to provide this in a hurry to my boss, he's expecting it," that's a reason she jumped the line. Everybody was forgiving her. But in the first case, she just went in there, pushed her paper on the Xerox machine, pushed the button, walked out. Everybody was very angry. So again, in an interview, give the reason for your action and follow up with a success story. Here's an interesting story. In Mesa, Arizona, a lady owns a jewelry shop. those of you that have been in Arizona know the typical blue stones. So she had a jewelry shop, and there was a display case with blue stones. So this lady goes to her assistant and says, "Oh, by the way, next week I'm going on vacation, but when I come back, I want to reprice these blue stones. They've been sitting here for a while, and nobody's buying it." And she went on vacation. Well, she comes back from vacation, and the first thing she walks in and she sees there are no blue stone in the display case. So she goes to the assistant and said, "Where are the blue stones?" And she said, "Oh, I remember you saying when you come back you want to reprice it. Let me tell you what I did. I did reprice it. In fact, I doubled the price, and people bought it." Okay? So what can we learn? Don't lower your salary requirement just to get an offer. Instead, emphasize your ability to make future contribution. And guys, I hear this every day. People are looking for a job. It takes them a very, very long time. And then they say, "Alex, I used to make $150,000. What do you think if I apply for this job, which is only 120?" And I said, "Don't." And they say, "Why?" I said, "Because you probably will be happy if you think that for 120 you will be able to get a job. But 2 months after that, you'll be very angry because you'll work 16 hours a day and they want every drop of blood that you have. And then you say, I used to make $150,000. Now I make $30,000 less. And look, I work day and night. I work more." So you will be developing unhappiness. So instead of lowering your price as a tactics for getting a job, my suggestion is improve your marketing material. Work harder. Don't lower your price. Okay, so here I have a question and I want a little bit of an input from you. I show you here data. Can anybody tell me what the hell is this? What can you make sense of this? Does this make sense what I'm showing to you? Please unmute your camera and just tell me what you think. What is this? What am I showing you here? No, you guys need to talk. I mean, Well,
Yeah, this is Alan. Could this represent the physical positioning of the team members while they're talking?
okay. Anybody else?
Maybe their geographic location?
No. Okay,
Huh.
so let me give you the answer. Does this make sense to you now? You see, here's what it is. Here in my first slide, I just provided you some X's there. Nothing. Team A, B, C, D, nothing. But when I overlaid over this a target, now you see there was a team of sharpshooters competing. And as you can see, Team A put all the bullets in the middle. Team B were able to group them, but they missed the target. Team C, well, one went into the bullseye and the rest everywhere else. And Team D, again, it's a different. So my point is, when I showed you this is totally meaningless. It's data, just plain data. But the moment I give you a reference, what that is, all of a sudden, it starts making sense. So let's see, what can we learn from this? When answering interview questions, provide answer in context. Like here, now this is data in context, it's information. So provide answers in context and then share the results and who benefited from your action. Again, when you share a story, again, put it in context. Don't just throw their information at the interviewer. And always mention a third party that benefited from it, because this is what they will remember. So here is another interesting story. Years ago, I live in Princeton, and I like to buy my clothing at Joe's Banks. It's a very good store, and I know David. He's a salesman. He has been there for many, many years. Not you, David. That's another David.
Well, it's funny, Alex. You may remember you and I have a matching sweater from Joseph Bank.
Yes, anyhow, so I remember vividly one day, my wife said, Alex, you need a suit. Again, this was way back, nobody needs a suit now. Alex, you need a suit. Let's go and let's go to Joe's Bank and buy a suit. So we look for a suit, whatever. And then David, he's a terrific salesman in clothing. And he said, oh, by the way, here is a matching shirt. Look how well it goes together. And my wife said, yeah, it does. And I said, yeah, you're absolutely right. I said, so how much? Let's say the suit was $200. I don't remember. It might be $300. I don't know what it was. And then I said, David, how much is this shirt? And he says $49. I said, yeah, sure. Let's get that. So I said, if I buy a suit for $300, another $49, $350, so it goes together. Now, what's strange about this? I don't buy shirts. If I go to a store to buy a shirt, I don't buy shirts for $49. I wait until it's on sale, and I buy it for $24.95. But because it was in context, it was in relationship with the suit, which the suit was already $300, $300 to $350, no big deal. But when I buy shirts only by itself, I don't buy a $49, $50 shirt. I buy when they are on sale. So again, what can we learn from this experience? Interviewers are comparing candidates and selecting one when you surpass your competition. Again, I always say this, you go for an interview and you may be wonderful, absolutely wonderful, great interview. But if somebody who is wonderful plus also competes for this position, guess what's happening? The wonderful plus is getting the offer. Okay, so bottom line, you are always being compared to what's available. Who are the other people competing for the same job? Okay, here's my first stop. Do you have any comments about what we covered so far? We covered a lot of very deep psychological points here, and which is applicable, by the way, not only during the interview, but in daily relationships, at home, with people, at work, everywhere. I would like some input at this point. Any stories, anything you learned, and any comments?
Yeah, hi, this is Alan again. Yeah, I have a comment about your previous, I think, point 2 regarding don't sell yourself short as far as salary is concerned. It's difficult to, that's a very difficult thing to do. I've been searching for a position for like 6 months, and I found myself over the course of several months reducing the price that I'm willing to accept because I felt that it was a better, I'd have more opportunity to find a job. But I understand your point about being disgruntled after the fact. However, like you said, you are competing with everybody else, and if companies are looking for price as well as talent, I don't know if it's I just don't know. It's a slippery slope, I guess is my comment.
Okay, so here's my answer. Have you attempted to change your marketing approach? Now, look, let's say you made 150 and somebody says 140. I can deal with it. But if you made 150 and they offer you 105, you'll be so quickly unhappy about it. I know emotionally you want a job. You want to get up in the morning, go to work. You want to tell the world, by the way, guys, I got a job. I know that. I've been there many times, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I know the feeling. But here is where emotions take over instead of logic. I would say, hold on to your price and do something different and better to be desirable and marketable. Because look, your salary is a relative term. People make less, people make more.
Right.
I always say, change your marketing approach instead of taking the easy way out and said, I used to make 150, now they offer me 120 or 30. Let's take it and let's go back to real life. And I say, improve your marketing skills.
Fair. Thank you.
Alex, if I may comment on that, uh, see what I sometimes experience, you get in the beginning of the hiring process and you have somebody who is just only job is to screen you out and they say, Dietmar, we can offer you only, well, let's say 140,000 and it is way below what I expected. If you say no, 140,000 is not good for me, well, they say, I'm so sorry, and you are out. So the advice I took is specify a range, don't stick to a number. And later on in the process, the people you meet, they don't have any idea what you told the screen out person. And that way you stayed in the game and later on had the chance to really present your value. So what do you think about that, Alex?
Well, here is what I think. Again, we are talking a hypothetical question, so I can give only a hypothetical answer. Depending what is the range, if the range is 8% less, of course consider it. But sometimes if you made 150 and somebody says we can pay you only 100, I would say don't jump on it so quickly. That's no one. The other thing is this. You want them to fall in love with you. You can say, yes, I can accept that position. Keep going through the interview process. Let them fall in love with you. Now they will make an offer. Let's say you agreed the range is between 100 to 150. I'm just talking just a range. So you agreed to that, and at that point, once they make you an offer, now you are in the driver's seat. You can say, you know what, I would be very happy, to accept this offer, but I have an issue here. I spoke with other people, I spoke with coaches, and you know what? The salary, as it is today on the market, is really much lower than it is. Can we talk about it? You see, once they extended an offer to you, now they're willing to negotiate. And at that point, you negotiate with them and see where you go. Remember, nobody comes with a gun to your head and said, Dietmar, you have to take this job. You can always say no. If they play dirty with you, you can do the same thing with them. Okay, can we move on? And then at the end, we still have time to discuss all these issues, okay? Okay, so the next topic is reciprocity. It's a lovely story. And it says the rule says that you should try to repay in kind what another person has provided you. I don't know if you can see the caricature here. I love this. It has a sense of humor, but so I haven't seen these people for a very, very long time, but I remember vividly way back at the airport or somewhere else, the Hare Krishna Society. You are at the airport and somebody jumps at you. It happened to me at Newark Airport. I remember years ago. Somebody jumps at me and puts a rose here. I don't know the individual. They look like this gentleman here in the picture, and they jump at me and they put a rose here. I feel obligated giving them $1 or $2. And this is the way they collect money. By the way, in one of the books I read, so what happens? People put a rose here, I give them $1 or $2. I keep walking, and wherever there is a garbage can, I just take it out and I just throw it into the garbage can. I don't want to get on the plane with that rose or with that whatever. So what they do, somebody is assigned to go to the garbage cans, collect them, they take them into the men's room, they wash it, and the next person gets the same one. Anyhow, so again, this is what they do. I'm sure in your lifetime you have seen them on the street. All of a sudden, they give books free. Why do they give it to you free? Why? Because they expect you to give them $1 or $2. You go to a store and they provide you sample. In my area in Princeton, there is Whole Foods. David, you know that because you go there occasionally. On weekends, there are people that give you samples. Now, why are they give you samples? Because they want to entice you to buy their food. So here is a tip about it. Smart networkers offer help in anticipation of being reciprocated. When you go to networking group, don't go there because you need something. Go there because you want to give something, help to other people. And because of the law of reciprocity, if you help them, they will help you. That's very, very smart. This has been my attitude from day one. When I go to a networking group, I have only one objective: to provide as much help as I can to people. And every so often, people reciprocate, and that's fine. I'm not doing this because I want something for it. I do it because I want to help. Sometimes other people help me, and that's fine. Topic number 3 is herd behavior. Very interesting topic. And look at these 2 pictures. Again, on the left, there is a stand in line here, right? It's an identical window. I don't know what they do. You know what this reminds me? This reminds me Newark Airport. When you come into the country, they have to stamp or check your passport, and people stand in line. So look, they are identical. On the right-hand side, there are lots of people. On the left-hand side, there are 2 people or 1. It's identical. Why? Because people go to where other people stand. It's a herd behavior. There is a term for that. So what I'm saying is this: when people are uncertain, they are trusting the collective knowledge. The thinking is, if those people on the right, they must know something. That's why everybody stands there. Okay, so it has a practical side. Why do they use canned laughter on TV and radio shows? By the way, I can't stand it. There are some radio shows or TV shows that 3 times a minute you hear this artificial laughter in the background. And this was a phenomenon which I never knew. What is this all about? It sounds so stupid to me. But it was explained to me that if everybody laughs, your brain says, oh, it must be funny. I need to laugh too. That's what it is. Again, my background is not psychology, but psychologists have proven that. Another example: bartenders hint by placing on the counter a jar with money in it. Why do they do that? You walk into the place, it's very common. It's very common. You go and you buy something and there is a jar with money there. Indirectly, they want to influence you, that saying, look, other people put money here. Perhaps you should do that too. Again, psychology. So here is my tip for job seekers. When job searching, distinguish yourself instead of blending in. Don't follow the herd mentality. Don't try to appear like everybody else. And this is one sentence I said very, very often to people. They will hire you not because you look like everybody else. They will hire you because you're different and better. So find that angle. What is what you need to do to be different and better than your competition? Don't attempt to be like everybody else. Okay, here is my second stop. I gave you a lot of information to digest here. Any thoughts about this? If people don't write anything on the chat, I don't see the chat here.
I'm looking at the chat, Alex. I don't see a question, although I did put a comment that Costco also offers samples.
Okay, so perhaps this is not a topic that triggers anything in people's mind. That's fine. Let's move on.
Yeah, people are putting their introductions and other information in the chat, and folks feel free to use chat for other purposes related to the program, but you can post a question to Alex, and we'll be monitoring that on your behalf.
Okay, so here's our fourth topic. Attraction and familiarity. We prefer to say yes to someone or something that we are familiar with. I don't think I said anything new here, right? So here's my example. We tend to donate most often when a friend or neighbor we know is asking. So for many, many years, next door, there is a house right here next to me, and there was a young lady there. She was 12. Now she is 18, 16 or 18. But many years she belonged to the, selling cookies to the Girl Scouts. Every year or twice a year, she rings my bell and said, "Hi, would you like to buy cookies?" And in this house, there are no cookies. My wife and I do not eat cookies. So I said, "Oh, just wait a minute." I go up, I pull $10 from my wallet, I bring it down and said, "Look, give this to your group. I don't need any cookies. Goodbye." So every time she comes and she follows the same thing and we go through the same routine. Now, please, guys, please do not get the impression every person ringing my doorbell gets $10. I don't want you to think that. I don't do that. But why do I always give $10 to this young girl? She's a neighbor, I want to help her. She's working so hard and so forth. So what can we learn from this? Tip for job seekers: ask for air, not for a job. Now, AIR is an acronym, and I call it ask for advice, introductions, and referrals from people inside the company, especially those that you know. Again, I give $10 to this young lady. Why? Because I know her and her parents. That's the reason I give the money. So ask for advice, introduction, and referral from people inside the company, and those people that you know. So this has a practical side. For example, I don't know about you, but when you need a medical doctor and you move to a new community, or you have a new type of illness, let's say a new thing in your life popped up and you need a specialized doctor, what do? How do you go about finding a new doctor? Do you go to the yellow pages and open under letter D for doctors or P for physicians? Or I go to trusted people and ask them, by the way, I need an eye doctor. Do you know anybody? Which eye doctor do you use? Or a few years ago, I installed a generator. I purchased many years ago a generator. And when you buy a mobile generator, it needs to be hooked to your network, the grid that you have inside the house, or the electric systems. So I did not know how to go about finding an electrician, but I have locally a car mechanic, who's been there for many, many years, and he knows everybody in town. So I said, "Al, who do I use for an electrician?" "Oh, you use ABC, but don't go to XYZ." "Thank you, Al." So I called ABC and he did the installation. Again, you ask for information from people you trust. The next example is, again, attractive people are more apt to get help when they need it. That's an interesting story. I read about it. So these are two actors. This happened in Lower Manhattan on a weekday at 9 in the morning when there are lots of people on the street going to work. So in a certain spot, a very, very busy corner in Lower Manhattan, they had an actor, an older gentleman, and he was just crossing the street and he pretended that he fell. Again, he's an actor, so he did it very well. Across the street, there are people from a psychology department running the experiment. And they wanted to see how long does it take before anybody approaches this older gentleman saying, "Oh, are you hurt? Can I help you? Do you need help? Are you okay?" And it took several seconds. I don't know what the number is, but let's say it took 10 seconds, 15, 20 seconds before anybody approached this gentleman. Okay. They did the same experiment the next day. The next day, they took a young and very attractive lady doing exactly the same routine, same place, everything was identical. And this young lady, the actress, is just crossing the street and she pretends that she is falling down. It took a second before many people said, "Oh, are you hurt? Can I help you? Can I pick you up?" Okay, this is a fact. Again, in this case, the people in the Department of Psychology wanted to prove a point. So attractive people are more apt to get help when they need it. That's a fact of life. So what can we learn from this? Make sure that when you are video interviewing, your studio-like setup is optimal. Look at the two pictures on the left. The first one is not such a good picture. The next one is much better. The next one in the middle is not such a good picture because the lighting is not good. The same person to the right is so much better. So my point to you is this: when you video interview, make sure your image on their screen is optimal. Lighting is important, positioning of the camera is important. Check out the voice. Again, I do this, I no longer see people in person. I do everything via Zoom. And sometimes the voice is not clear. You need to work on it. The interviewer will not say, excuse me, what did you say? Can you repeat? The interviewer will just nod their head and said, I didn't understand what this guy said. And again, what I said a little earlier, attractive people show favorability in hiring decisions. Why do we dress up when we go to an interview? We want to look our best. Why? Exactly because what this sentence says. You want to look favorable. The look, the appearance has to be nice. Okay, next up. Any comments about attraction familiarity? Have you had such experience? Is this too early that I'm asking questions? I appreciate that. I understand that. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing in the chat at this moment, but it's an opportunity, folks, if you want to quickly just unmute and express your question or thought with Alex.
Yeah, I'm sure you have some questions.
Yeah, Alex, it's Patty. I agree. Sometimes when I'm interviewing and they're interviewing me, I feel like I've got the lighting and everything. And it's hard for me to see the person on the other end interviewing. So I think it goes both ways, is to my point.
It is, but remember who is a decision maker. They are, and you need to appear best. Now, let's talk a little bit about that. I like to set an example. You see me on your screen. And I do this, by the way, with every client. I say, do you like my image? And then I immediately qualify. I did not say, do you like me? All I said, do you like my image? And people say yes. And I said, thank you. Now, let me explain to you why you said yes. First of all, I am properly lit. You can see me clearly. By the way, this is not a coincidence. Let me show you something. I have a dimmer here. You see, so I turned the light. I want to make sure you see me well. If this light is not sufficient, guess what? I have another light here, and I have another light here. Okay, so I want to make sure you see me clearly. I position myself well in the camera. The camera is elevated to my eye level. Look, this is the camera. I don't look down or I don't look up. I look at the camera or close to it. I show you my upper body because I want to mimic what you would see me if I come to your office. I don't come to your office and jump under the desk and I'm showing you only my face. I want to show you my torso, my upper body. I also blocked my background so that it would not be distracting. All this is not a coincidence. I created here a studio in my office because I want to position myself very well. The angle of the camera, the lighting, everything. Also, I am at a proper distance from the camera. If I go back, my face is too small. If I come here, my face is too big. So all these things are technical things and you need to adjust it before you go for an interview. Play with it. It should not be a coincidence what they see on their screen. Okay, let's move on. Authority. Okay, so we are conditioned to obey authority figures such as parents or teachers. I don't think I need to explain this anymore. We learned from childhood to listen to our parents and do what they tell us. And as we became older, we followed that same pattern in school. Now, when we became bigger and bigger, perhaps we didn't obey so much the teachers, but at least in the earlier stages of our lives, we did. Okay, so again, we are conditioned to obey authority figures. So here is a very interesting experiment. Again, it's a department of psychology. They wanted to test something. People respect authority more when it is demonstrated rather than simply claimed. So here is an example. They took an actor and they dressed up this actor in a police uniform. They put the actor in front of an ATM machine and they put a sign on the ATM machine saying, please give your money to the police officer. The ATM is out of order. And they were sitting in a van with a zoom camera looking what is happening. So here stands the police officer and people come by and some people read this sign, the ATM is out of order, give your money to the police officer. And people gave money, some people gave money to the police officer. Now, I'll tell you this, I would never do that. But some people did. Some people did. And of course, after the people gave the money to the police officer, they were reimbursed and they told the person, this is just an experiment in psychology. But you see, if you see a police officer, a person of authority because of his uniform, and the sign says clearly, it is out of order, give your money that you want to deposit to the police officer, people just obey. I would not, but some people did. And this is the fact. Authority extended into social media. If people think that you are important, so will Google. Okay, so what I suggest is this. Make friends with social media power users who can promote your content. When you connect with people on LinkedIn connect with people like those that I have in my picture. I'm connected with these people. They are, oh my God, they are power users. I mean, I see them all the time, all the time. And why? Because if you're connected with these, Google recognizes extensive activity and your ranking is much, much higher. If people like your message or ask to connect, you must have influenced them positively. Why do people connect with you? Not because you're a nobody. They connect with you because you are recognized as a leader and they see some benefit from it. So yes, being very active on social media is a good thing for you if you are a job seeker. So here is another tip for job seekers. Associate yourself with someone considered an authority. For example, by clerking for a famous judge or reporting to a senior executive or a CEO. If that is the case, emphasize that on your social media, because the thinking of the reader is, if you report to the CEO, you must be very important. What other people say about you is more important than what you say about yourself. Again, you want other people to recognize you because then you are considered more important than versus if you're just patting yourself on the back and you say that you're wonderful. Nobody will believe you. But if other people say that you're wonderful, then you will be believable. Another tip for job seekers. Change from being a generalist to being a specialist, because that change will convey the authority employers seek. And I can give you here a very practical approach about myself. When I started the career coaching career, I said, no, I'm a career coach, and I declared myself a career coach. And I did that for about 2 to 3 years. And admittedly, building business was not easy. And then one day I said, you know what? I need to be a specialist. And that probably will increase my business. And I said, okay, I'm not just a career coach. I am an interview specialist coach. And I let the career coaching go by, or I recommended even some other people. And I said, my specialty is interview preparation. And I'm happy to tell you, it has grown and grown and grown. And this year I have another record year because people come to me when they have difficulties getting that offer. Okay, enough said about this. But be a specialist. When I talk to people in networking groups and I try to explain this concept, this is what I say. By the way, when you have an eye problem, do you go to a foot doctor? And the person said, no. I said, why not? Both of them are doctors. Why don't you go to the eye doctor when you have a foot problem? Because I have a foot problem. So I said, you see, so you go to specialists. You don't go to any doctor. If you have a foot problem, you go to the specialist. So try to become in your area of employment or expertise. Try to become a specialist. You want to be recognized as a specialist and not just a practitioner. By publishing, you're intuitively considered an authority, thus influential. It's so easy, guys. Everybody has LinkedIn profile. A LinkedIn profile is basically a private website. And it's so easy to publish. It's so easy to publish. Write something and publish it. By publishing, you become the authority. They will come to you because they consider you authority. By the way, I take this for me as a religion. I publish 2-3 times once a week, and the number of people that open my promotion is anywhere from 300 to 1,300 people. I publish all kind of things, and within hours, people open it and look at it. And why do I do it? I want to please Mr. Google. I want to show Mr. Google, look, I am important. Look, people open what I write. You should do the same thing. You don't have to be a genius to publish anything. Take a topic that is of interest to people, express your opinion, and put it out there. Don't be afraid. I never heard about LinkedIn biting, by the way. Nancy, have you heard about LinkedIn biting? Have you ever heard that?
Mm-mm.
No.
No.
LinkedIn is not biting, right? So definitely you can post something. Another tip for job seeker, your LinkedIn tagline should be your hook. 2 of 10 people read only the tagline. The tagline on LinkedIn is extremely important, extremely important. I worked very, very hard to put on my tagline what I want people to read. This is not something very simple. I strongly suggest you go on LinkedIn and just scroll down and look what people write. Is there anyone standing out? You want to be that one standing out. And the last topic, by the way, this is the last topic, and then you have opportunity for question. The last topic is scarcity. People seem more motivated by the thought of losing something than by the thought of winning something. Again, scarcity. And here's an example. Why is it that advertisers always say limited quantity, sale ends soon? When I go on Amazon and I want to buy something, they say 3 items left. Why are they telling me that? 3 items left. Because they want to scare me that if I don't buy it right now, I will not be able to buy it. I don't believe them that they have only 3 left. I just don't believe them. But that's a tactics in marketing. Anything rare and unique becomes more valuable. By the way, there is only one original Mona Lisa, and you know that. I can attest to it because I was in Paris at the Louvre and I saw Mona Lisa. And by the way, Nancy, she was smiling to me. Rolls-Royce, it's a unique brand. It's a unique brand and it's expensive. It's a unique brand. So again, anything rare or unique becomes more valuable. You want to be rare and unique. You don't want to be like everybody else. Employers are looking for Superman and not Mr. Average. I say this sentence all the time, every day to people. You know, don't blend in. Don't try to tell them you are just one person that can do the job. You are uniquely qualified to do the job and give them a reason why. Again, employers are looking for Superman and not just another person. And I think this is my last slide. No, I have another one. Promote whatever is unique and different about you, which provides a reason to be hired. Again, they will hire you because you are a Princeton graduate. That's something unique. You received the trophy. You are different. You are unique. You ran 3 times the marathon. You are unique. Again, come up with those reasons that make you unique. In my interview preparation practice, I have a question. So what's unique about you? And I do this with people. At, how shall I put it to be nice about it? There are people in America that they make obscene amount of money. Do you know what obscene means? A lot of money, a lot of money. And I ask them, so what's unique about you? And they stare at me and they look at me like I have 2 heads. Like, What are you talking about? They are not able to give me even one example that differentiates them from other people. And I said, please create a list. At least have something, one or two or three things in your mind that makes you unique, makes you different. Because you'll be hired because you're different and not because you look like everybody else. Actually, talk about this. This reminds me. Years ago, I worked for a pharma company called Sanofi. I interviewed with the vice president, and it was very interesting. By the time I drove home from Bridgewater, on my answering machine, the offer was on my answering machine. I mean, it never happened to me before, by the way. So anyhow, I was hired. It's a Monday morning. I start working 10 minutes early on Monday morning. The vice president hired me. My boss comes to my office and said, Alex, I want to welcome you. Alex, drop everything and come with me. I need to introduce you to the CEO. Okay, that makes sense. I was a department head, so he needs to introduce me to his CEO. So we go to the 5th floor. We walk into this plush office. In the big chair sits the CEO of the company. The vice president looks at me and said, Alex, can you tell Mr. Johnson what you told me during the interview? I told during the interview interesting stories. This is what he wanted me to share with the CEO. Okay, so that's a prime example. You want to be different, you want to be memorable. Yeah, that's my last slide. Okay, it's your time to ask me question. And you see, timing is good. I told you, David, it's going to be just about an hour. Questions?
Yep. So I am looking in chat, Alex. There are no additional questions. Oh, here's one. I'm sorry. Here's one from Pat. So Pat, I'll read this on your behalf. Back on the topic of accepting a lower salary, we now have the challenge of putting a price tag for the possibility of working 100% remote. The combination of cost and aggravation of commuting in or from New Jersey can be significant. Any thoughts?
Look, you have to make your own evaluation. What's important for you? And by the way, don't do this only as a mental exercise. Put it down on a piece of paper. What is important for you? For example, I can give you an example. My daughter-in-law, she's an executive in New York City. For 20 years, she commuted from Princeton to New York City. 3 hours in the train, going back and forth. And I think she told me that she pays about $500 a month or more, and she needs to park the car in Princeton Junction train station, which is an expense. I don't know how much it is, but she saves big money by working from home. Her company, luckily for her, decided she no longer has to come to the office. She goes to the office probably three to four times a year, but she works from home. This is such a huge benefit from her. Incredible. I hear about it all the time. She's so much enjoyed. So the question to her was, and how much is this worth to you in money? The fact that you don't have to be on the train every morning waiting and sitting in the train with other people and noisy and walk. Okay, so you need to make the decision. I'm not in a position to guide you or tell you about that. You need to make the decision, the benefits that you have by only going once a week or 3 times a week and work from home. How much is it worth? So yes, you make the evaluation and you decide getting a lower salary vis-a-vis not having to pay commute to New York City. Is it worth it? I cannot make that decision. And by the way, I have discussions with clients about salary negotiation. I raise this issue. How much is it worth to you? On a more humorous way, I told you that this vice president of the pharma, again, I had a good relationship with him. His name was Mark. And, we had meetings. And at one time, I liked working for him. And one time I said, Mark, I want to tell you something. For me, having a good boss is worth at least $20,000. I told him that. And he looked at me with a smile on his face and said, Alex, can we negotiate? Can we up that to 50? And I said, Mark, you're right. Even 50 is worth it for me. So, and again, this was with humor and so forth. But yes, a good boss, no commute, working from home. I mean, all this, somehow you need to be able to equate that to money.
Yeah, the example you had given as far as 150 versus 120 versus for everyone it's
Just a
different.
number.
Yeah.
It's just a number.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? It's your opportunity. David, typically when there are no questions, I don't take this as an insult. In fact, I take it as a compliment. You know what? If people don't have questions, it means my presentation was so perfect that I answered every question. No questions left. That's good. I appreciate that.
Well, Alex, certainly your programs are not only well thought out but well honed as well. So, as people who get to participate with you, we benefit from that certainly. But anyone, if you have a specific question or a specific bullet point you need clarity, it's an opportunity to do so now. And then in a few minutes, when we do formally end the meeting, we'll have the opportunity to just hang around and have a little bit of virtual open networking. But this is an opportunity to speak with Alex if you'd like.
Okay,
Going
so since you
once.
don't want, wait, what? I'll tell you what, my second tactic, on second level, I'm pointing my finger at people and I'm going to ask them. So, Adrian, you can talk to me in Hungarian. Is there anything you want to say? You have to unmute yourself.
This came up earlier, Adrian, before the meeting started. Alex talked a little bit about his Hungarian is becoming a little rusty, and he referenced that he needs to speak with you.
Jó napot kívánok!
Neked is. Én is ugyanazt akarom, hogy legyen neked.
Köszönöm.
How many people understood the conversation here? No. Good.
Hi, Alex. It's Patty. I don't know Hungarian. I know a little bit of German, but I don't want to speak German this morning. But I wanted to just thank you. I think all of these topics, they seem very commonplace, and we should know this, right? But to hear it and to really decide how you are unique and to help them make that decision is so important. And I wanted to thank you for all the topics because this was excellent, very good, and as usual.
Patty, thank you so much. Now here I have, and I want to thank Dietmar. Dietmar is my friend from Maryland. And Dietmar is my friend. Dietmar was my client. How many years ago, Dietmar?
Oh, at least 10 years.
Oh, well more than 10 years. Dietmar drove all the way from Maryland to Hopewell, New Jersey. You remember that, Dietmar?
I did, and never forget you greeted me so cordially. We had first a very nice sandwich, and then and that kicked off the conversation.
I don't remember that, but sounds logical. And since then, Dietmar and I are very good friends. And Dietmar doesn't speak German to me, very rarely, but I always reach out to Dietmar when I have a question about not only German, but many other things. Dietmar is one of the most intelligent people I know. He's always a resource for me.
Well, thank you for your compliments, Alex. So, likewise, you
That's
have been
true.
always a great coach. So I learned
Thank
so
you.
much from you.
Thank you. Okay,
So, Alex,
David, it's time. Yeah.
one quick follow-up question. How did you decide about your specialization? What triggered your specialization?
It was logical and natural. I noticed that people that needed interview preparation, and when I helped them to the best of my ability, I received lots of kudos, endless kudos. It helped them. So, if people say, Dietmar, you're very good at XYZ, Dietmar, you're very good at that, all of a sudden you say, oh, people think I'm good at it, perhaps this is what I should do. And I noticed progressively more and more people seeked me out, not for my coaching, but for interview preparation. And then I said, okay, if this is what others recognize in me, strength and help in interview preparation, let me just close the vice and make it very, very narrow and say, I'm not a career coach, I'm an interview preparation coach. And by the way, once I made the decision, I turned on my marketing hat and I said, I need everything associated with me to be associated with interview preparation and not with general coaching. And if you go anywhere on my website, on my LinkedIn profile, you will see my attempt. Everything moves into the interview, the word interview, interviewing, video interviewing. These are the keywords I'm using everywhere. That's done by purpose, by the way. It's not a coincidence. And every so often, people ask me, I just had a very, very recent coincidence. A lady that was in 2019 my client, she's now in the market. And she said, Alex, I really need at this point not only your expertise in career, in interview preparation, I need career coaching. And I said, let me give you some names. And I gave her some names. And one of the individuals actually is very well known in this group. He is the one that said, by the way, the person you referred to me engaged me. So I'm very happy to refer somebody that needs career coaching to people that do primarily career coaching, and I don't. I'm happy to say I have more than enough sometimes clients that need interview preparation. So those people that are expert in career coaching, let them do it.
So, Alex, there are in the chat some very nice appreciative messages and kudos for your program. So, certainly thank you as always for being such a terrific presenter and supporter of the Breakfast Club of New Jersey. And I guess if there are no other questions from folks, at least directly related to this presentation, we'll wrap up the presentation, but we will in a moment keep the session open, unrecorded, of course, for open networking. So, Frank, if you have a wrap up announcement, please, this is a good time to do so.
Not an announcement, but what I would say is, in listening to the conversation, a lot of us bring paradigms to the table, and those paradigms aren't always right, and sometimes they're self-limiting. And I'll just give you a personal piece of information. I've worked from home now for over 10 years in the job that I've found. I've only been in the office 6 times in those 10 years, and I make far more than I've ever made in my career. So it doesn't have to be a trade-off. It doesn't have to be all these things that people are talking about. All of those things are in people's heads. That's not, necessarily reality out there. So again, look at your profession, look at your worth, look at, your competitors. When we talk about, should I take a reduction in salary or this and that, you have to know the market. What is the position that you have and the skill set level and the level of competency that you have commanding in the market right now? That needs to be your guideline, not what you used to make, what you're targeting to make. Your profession has a set salary range, and it sometimes differs by size of company or industry vertical or things like that, and just be cognizant of it. And, a lot of times people say, well, how do I switch? I've been in finance my whole life, and, the banking industry is having some problems right now. I want to look over here in this other industry. The whole way you make those transitions is through networking. And really, the networking piece of it is really what you need to focus on. And, we always say it's your only rainy day policy, for employment. You can't wait to build a network or develop a network till you're in transition and need it. You've always got to be networking. And, there's a few good books out there that after all these years remain the best. And one is Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That book, if you go into Amazon or Barnes and Noble, I think it's only about $5.95. I think it's second to only the Bible in the amount of book sales. And it's a staple, pick it up, read it, keep it by your side even after that, and, refresh it from now and then. And also Keith Ferrazzi's Never Eat Alone. The two books will give you very good advice, and it becomes part of your DNA and part of the way you operate. And, in the Breakfast Club, we've always been pay it forward for the 20 plus years that we've been in existence. And the only thing we ask is that when you can help others, do so. So that's really, the essence of the whole thing. If you follow those basic guidelines, a lot of the job search becomes much more easier because you're building your brand proactively, you're making those connections proactively, and when you need them, they're there to tap on. So that would be my advice, get out of your own head a little and really look at the marketplace, look at the dynamics going on. Right now, work at home is just a different way of doing things. With technology advancing, you've got to look at what's going on with AI and ChatGPT are two very critical factors. But also, Apple just had this new device with spatial computing. You're going to see some dramatic changes as AR and XR and VR, really start to change the way people think and go about work. So keep your mind open, keep abreast of what's changing out there in the marketplace. And, things like ChatGPT, there's no people that are 10 years of experience and knowledge and competency in it. It's a very new technology. So getting involved in it now is a great thing that, you could establish yourself quite quickly. So I liked it. Early on, we had a presenter at the Breakfast Club, and they put a sports analogy in, and they said, be like Wayne Gretzky, who was one of the greatest players in hockey. And I personally aren't a big hockey fan, but the advice was go to where the puck is going to be, not where it's been. And really, that's what you have to look at your career. What are the changes affecting the profession and the space that you want to be successful in? See where they're going and start learning that and, be ahead of the game, and the competition is much less there. It's a way to distinguish yourself, constantly be abreast of those changes that are affecting. So that would be my advice to everybody here is to, open your eyes a little, look at those things. There's so many different ways to get involved now with Zooms and meetups and go to meetings and all. Take advantage of them. And, it's very interesting along the way. Like, I hope many of you follow up and go to YouTube and watch Jim Quick's YouTube videos on Limitless. It's a different way of training. And the one thing as a child that he had problems with was reading comprehension, and he learned through comic books to improve that. And when he got older, he actually went and was the coaching for one of the studios, and it happened to be the one that did X-Men, which were his heroes. And he actually got to train them in his techniques, the people that played them in the movie. So that's what I say. Don't let artificial boundaries hold you back. Go after things and be surprised sometimes just, how far you can succeed. That's my advice and direction.
Well, terrific. Very sage advice, certainly. Thank you so much, Frank. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and of course to Alex. And just to let you know, we will be meeting, of course, next month. The Breakfast Club meets every second Saturday of the month. So we will be meeting on July 8th. Coach Ed Samuel will be here optimizing your career and job search. Ed is a good friend to the Breakfast Club of New Jersey, as well as job seekers in general, and he'll be here next month optimizing your career and job search. So hope that we'll be able to see you if you're available on that day. And so with that, we'll simply say bye, everybody.